Welcome to the Tech Digest for February 11th. We're starting with critical security alert for Windows users. And it's in a place you might not expect. It's a Notepad. So a new vulnerability here has been confirmed in Windows Notepad application. So this isn't just a crash bug, it's a remote code execution vulnerability. So that means that sophisticated attacker could potentially run arbitrary code on your machine through the text editor. So if you're on Windows, you must check your updates immediately. Now, I dug into this a little bit. This says Windows Notepad all over, and but really, if you look at the versions here, this is important. So this is the new Windows app, but they replaced the original Notepad.exe with um, a new app that updates through the store, for example, and has all kinds of new features. Part of the reason, probably, why there's issues here with it. Moving on to AI development tools, there's a heated discussion kicking off around the post here called symmetry breaking. Um, so it's a post on the blog called Symmetry Break, but it's titled Claude Code is being dumbed down. The author presents an analysis suggesting that recent updates to the model might be degrading its coding capabilities. It's a technical look at whether optimization and safety tuning are coming at the cost of reasoning power for developers. So if you rely on a Claude Code generation, this is a thread worth reading to see if your experience matches the data here. And we did talk about this a couple of weeks ago. There's a website where you can track the trend. So they use the same tool, Claude Code. They use the same model, supposedly, but they watch how Sweetbench is fluctuating over time. So model is not all there is. What you access through the API is not just the model, but it has all kinds of tools and skills baked into it. So that potentially affects it. So next up, a massive privacy audit coming from this blog. They have published a deep dive into Chrome extensions, flagging a staggering 287 different extensions that are reportedly spying on users' browsing data. Oh, okay. So anyway, the report details how these extensions capture the URL history and other sensitive metadata. And it's a stark reminder to audit your own browser. If you have extensions that you haven't used for a while, now it's time to disable or remove them. Yeah, and yeah, of course, Chrome changed how much extensions can even access now. So that's been good and bad. The ad blockers, of course, um, got hindered by this, but on the other hand, there's a lot less um, intrusion going on in your browser. But honestly, if you look at Firefox, it's like a Wild West out there, and that's what I use. It's pretty cool. Um, so for developers and graphics engineers out there, a new engine just popped up called Fluorite. So it's pitching itself as console-grade game engine that is fully integrated with the Flutter. So it's an interesting architectural choice aiming to combine high-fidelity rendering with cross-platform UI capabilities of Flutter. So if you've been looking for a middle ground between heavy engines like Unreal and lightweight mobile frameworks, Fluoride is worth a look. Yeah, and I've been doing Phaser with React, and it's a very interesting combination. React is like, hey, I'm gonna re-render your page, and Phaser doesn't like that, right? It is not um, stateless thing like React. So we'll see how this goes. It looks cool, I guess. So in the world of AI models, Um, this company just released details of their model, GLM5. The accompanying blog post here outlines a shift in focus from what they call vibe coding to agentic engineering. Essentially, the model is designed to handle more complex multi-step engineering tasks rather than just single-shot code completion. It claims to offer better reasoning for autonomous agents that need to navigate code bases and architecture, making another step towards AI that acts more like a coworker than a clipboard. And yeah, there's some interesting charts here. You know, they do run it over longer periods of time. This is definitely direction that some companies want us to go. Spend more, run a swarm of agents for days. Hundreds of thousands of dollars later. We'll see. We'll see what this turns into in 6 months. Security researchers have documented a new bypass technique for age verification systems used by major platforms like Discord, Twitch, and Snapchat. The write-up here demonstrates how the verification flow can be circumvented. This is significant because these platforms rely heavily on these checks for compliance and user safety. Um, so it highlights ongoing cat and mouse game between identity verification vendors and privacy researchers. And you can see this has been patched now, but it does talk about the steps to do it previously. And yeah, we talked about also Roblox doing this. Pretty much a lot of internet is going to be ID based soon. So we have major infrastructure story coming out of Texas. FAA has confirmed that the drone incursion led to a shutdown of the El Paso International Airport. Reports indicate that airspace closures could affect operations up to 10 days. I think it has been reopened since this story ran. So this isn't just a brief pause, or wasn't. It's significant grounding of flights due to unauthorized unmanned aircraft systems. Um, this underscores fragility of airspace security against consumer or commercial drone hardware. New paper published here presents a striking benchmark of GPT-5. The researchers conducted an experiment showing the model outperformed federal judges in specific legal reasoning tasks. The study tests the model's ability to interpret and apply legal standards, suggesting that the latest generation of LLMs is reaching a level of nuance that rivals highly trained human experts in formalized logic domains. Now, of course, if you read the comments, this is not that simple. Those are very limited cases, and in real world, context is gigantic. So, human judgment, especially, is important in real cases. But it's an interesting case nevertheless, especially considering the new movie that's coming out. AI judges. All right. In Linux security news, researchers have identified new botnet called SSH Stalker. What's old is new again. The malware is using old school RCE protocol for its command and control operations. It targets Linux systems likely via weak SSH credentials. Using IRC for command and control is a throwback technique that can sometimes bypass modern firewalls, looking normally for HTTP or some custom encrypted traffic. And here's IRC. Why not? It's a good reminder to harden your SSH configurations first of all, and disable password off if you can. Um, yeah, side note, this was one of the first command and controllable viruses that I have encountered. It literally came as a set of MIRC scripts, and MIRC was running like hidden in the tray. That was a whole virus. That was pretty funny. There wasn't even additional code. It was all IRC based, or MIRC specifically in that case. I couldn't really find there's like several names of it. It wasn't correctly classified back then. That was 20 years ago. Finally, we have a fascinating piece of the future of hardware. Um, the new report suggests that optical computing using light instead of electricity might actually outperform quantum computing for certain types of tough optimization problems. While quantum gets all the hype, of course, like it will solve everything, optical systems can operate at room temperature. That's important. And they offer massive parallelism already. So the research indicates we might see divergence where light-based processors can handle specific workloads that were previously assumed would require a quantum leap. This is something that we've seen Microsoft doing, where they ran inference actually through optical matrix. So instead of using computer to multiply matrices, they used optics. That was pretty interesting, like optical slash electronic system. So, but there's a lot of research still going on in all kinds of directions. See you next time.